Hackers can see you right now. Secure your camera now. Here's a story that happened in Brazil. A man was looking at his security camera footage to see what happened while he was gone. He saw two guys enter his home, take his stuff, but also realized something much more sinister. The same two dudes had broken into his neighbor's house too, but they weren't just there to steal stuff. They were trying to kill him. They broke into his neighbor's house because they knew he was a police informant. They shot at him 7 times, but luckily he survived. So why do these hackers care so much? Why are they willing to risk their lives for this? It all comes down to money. This guy is an example of a hacker who did it for fun, but most hackers have malicious intent. Here is another example from China where a hacker remotely turned on the LCD screen on this guy's dash cam to display a message saying, "Your car has been parked in an illegal parking spot and you must pay a fine of $200. And then the hacker proceeds to drive around in this guy's car for 4 hours. In some places, this is considered carjacking. And if the person doesn't realize it, the hacker can cause a lot of damage in that time. Imagine if this was your security camera and these people were coming straight for you. That could be you or someone you know, but don't worry because you can protect yourself against this. If you stay till the end of the video, I'll show you exactly how to do that. In today's video, we are going to cover everything you need to know about IP cameras and how to keep them secure. Let's start with how this type of hacking even happens. First, someone needs to gain access to your router. To do this, they usually look for routers with default admin passwords, which are extremely common. Around 25% of all routers use default passwords, and 75% of those default passwords are either password or admin. When you log into a website with a username of admin and a password of password, it's like walking into a grocery store, pushing open the door and yelling, "I'm here," and expecting no one to notice. Once inside your network, the hacker looks for devices with web interfaces. These are usually IP cameras. Now I hear you asking, why does my camera need a web interface? What does that mean? Well, regular cameras have sensors and lenses, but IP cameras have sensors and lenses plus a processor, memory, storage, and wireless connectivity. They also have operating systems and software built in, and all of that needs to be controlled in some way. Some cameras can be controlled with a physical controller, others through an app, and some through a web interface. The next thing you need to understand is the difference between your local network and the internet. The easiest way to explain this is your local network is your home or office, and the internet is outside your home or office. Local networks can communicate with each other directly. Your phone, your computer, and your IP camera can all talk to each other without going through any middlemen. The internet, however, is huge and complicated, and you need a special device called a router to go in between you and the internet. Routers allow multiple devices to share a single connection to the internet. Now let's put all of this together. First, a hacker breaks into your router by guessing the password. Then they go looking for devices connected to that router, your IP cameras. Once they find the camera's web address, they connect to it through your router. Because they're inside your local network, they can sometimes see and control the camera without triggering any alarms. They can change the camera settings, turn off notifications, upload custom firmware, and more. Even if you don't have an obvious IP camera, the chances are you have one somewhere. Most smart devices such as TVs, thermostats, and speakers have IP cameras built in. Let me tell you a little story. A few years ago, a news station in South Carolina was doing a live broadcast. They had a reporter standing outside a courthouse holding a microphone and a small portable TV to show the reporter and the people behind her. Well, during the broadcast, the reporter talked about a restraining order. Little did she know that someone had hacked into her TV's IP camera and they changed what was showing on the screen. Instead of showing the reporter and the people behind her, it now showed someone who was pretending to be the reporter. It made national news and even trended on Twitter. But wait, you might be thinking, I don't have anyone broadcasting from the street. How would anyone ever see my IP camera? Well, it's actually easier than you think. There was a case of a man who was streaming his wedding reception on Facebook Live. He had an IP camera mounted high up on the wall and it was out of frame. During the ceremony, he joked about his camera only being able to zoom out so far, and guess what? Someone hacked his camera and panned all the way up to give everyone an eyeful. Please subscribe me and continue. These examples may seem like they're from another planet, but the reality is hackers can see your IP cameras right now, and there is a good chance that you do and even know about it. Hackers can put their own images on your IP camera and you wouldn't even know it. They can watch everything you see or even watch things you do and see because some IP cameras have night vision. And hackers can also listen in on your audio. Just ask Jennifer Lawrence, whose iCloud photos were leaked in 2014. She blamed a hacker who had somehow gotten access to her camera and recorded her without her knowledge. This is why it is important to make sure your IP cameras are secure and your Wi-Fi is safe. Here's how to do it. First, check your router to see if it has a firewall. Most routers come with firewalls installed by default, but they aren't very strong. If you have valuable data or lots of people connecting to your network, consider investing in a third-party firewall. Firewalls are useful because they allow you to block access to your network based on the source. For example, you can block access to your network from certain countries. You can also set up a firewall rule to allow access to your network only from specific IP addresses. This way, even if someone manages to get into your router, they won't be able to access your IP cameras. Next, update your firmware regularly. Many of the hacks discussed in this video happen because the manufacturer releases a patch to fix a vulnerability and the user never updates their camera. Look, you don't want to be that guy. Check your camera's documentation to see how to update the firmware. Make sure you do this for every camera you have. Next, enable HTTPS. If your IP camera supports it, you should absolutely use it. It encrypts the data being transmitted between the camera and the web browser, making it much harder for hackers to intercept. Next, change the default password. This is critical. If your IP camera requires a username and password, make sure you don't use anything obvious like the model name or serial number. Use a random combination of letters and numbers. Better yet, use a password manager to generate and remember a super secure password for each of your devices. Next, limit the amount of access that your IP camera has on your network. If your IP camera doesn't need to talk to your other devices, you should disable that feature. If you're really concerned about security, you can even set up your firewall to block access to your IP cameras except from your local network. This means that even if a hacker gets into your router, they still won't be able to get to your IP cameras. And finally, keep your IP camera's lens clean. This one seems obvious, but you'd be surprised at how many people forget to do this. Make sure you can see clearly so you don't miss anything important. Don't worry, your security is in good hands. If you follow these steps, your IP cameras should be safe from hackers. If you found this video helpful, please leave a like and subscribe for more cybersecurity content.